Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. To our teachers, alumni, students, debaters, and to our principals, welcome to the second Room Debate Tournament Grand Finals. My name is Fran, and this is Men. We are your MC for today.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for gracing the final round. So, how do you feel, Fran? Are you excited for this round?
Yes, for sure, because I was also the debater before. After we have got the motions, we have to prepare all of supporting informations, and the process is really hard to arrange it all speech and convert it into the formal speech. Also, when I'm about to speak, when I'm in front of the judges and orders, it's made me really excited. My body is starting to shake, like my hands, my legs, also my voice, everything is shaking. But when we are in front of the judges and orders, we have to attempt so hard to finish it. So, the two teams who were able to overcome those rounds are going to compete against each other today. So, how about you two men?
I am proud of our friends who have come a long way to fight in this round. I wish them all the best. So, Fran, let's formally start our activity today. We would like to call on teacher Premiti Hansano to give us a welcome speech.
Okay, welcome everybody here. It's my pleasure to be here, and I'm very glad to see my students here to practice debate. To me, debate is the process that allows us to learn more, to be better in English skills, and also more than that, to be better person. Because before you speak out or say anything out, you need to think before speak. Sometimes you need to do some research to get some information and knowledge to support your idea. You need to analyze bad or good, correct or incorrect. You need to find some good reasons to support your idea. You become to be careful person to release useful message to the public, and that is good. And I hope that for my students to know how to apply good things or good lessons from this activity to use in your real life situation. And win or lose doesn't matter, but to pick up some good lesson to use in your life is more important. Thank you everyone, and thank you for the teachers that try to train my students to be a good person. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Teacher Book, for welcoming us this debate. Now we call on Pum to introduce our grand finalists.
So we will start with the government team. Recessive. Sorry, dominant. From Prime Minister ณฐภ ชินวสุสินสอน Deputy Prime Minister เศรษฐนันท์ ธนกิจโกเศรษฐนันท์ and Government Whip นัท เลาหะวี จิ๊บ and for opposition team Recessive, we will start with leader of the opposition นัทธนันท์ นิชนันท์ ชูวิทย์ แพรว Deputy leader of opposition ปีมนัส ภูตระกูล เอิร์ก and opposition whip นัชชา ตังวัชรินทร์ ฟ้า
Thank you very much for your interview, Simple. Good luck to our debaters. We will now call on Tom to introduce the adjudicators for the grand finals.
Okay, we are glad that all just come here today, and the first person is Kylie from grade 2. Okay, then another judge is Rara from grade 5. Grade 6 teacher Daphne, Miranda, and Gabe. Okay. Teacher staff from grade 7. Adam from grade 9 and 10. Freddie from grade 9 to grade 11. Teachers Jason and Lindsay that will be teaching us on secondary school in the next term. And Rungarun alumni. And the last person is Prince Paris Jackson, the debater from Ekamai International School.
Thank you very much, Paul. And now, for the most important thing in the debate, we will announce the motion for the grand finals. Please wait for a minute. This house regrets the narrative that we tell children that good always triumphs over evil. We now call on the Prime Minister to open the debate. Here.
Good morning, everyone, and Mr. Shah. So, the first, if we talk about the narrative is the best way to take it to teach the children to be. It's easy more than the reality. So when we talk about narrative, we can think only the ending. What is narrative ending? What with something good, but the ending is doesn't teach anything to children. But the what happened in the story that teach them to the children, like it teach children to be how to successful, how to against a problem, and how to fight a problem, and so we will focus on the journey. So next, the burden of proof. So we will prove to you that the narrative should be focused on the journey, not only the ending. The second, we will prove to you that the journey has more value than the ending. So our team split is the first speaker talk about why have to focus in the what happened in the story. Second, talk about value of journey. Third, best case, worst case, crash point, and prove that why we win, why government win. So first, I will talk about the whole world. So you know about the people that success in life, and it have many people that you know but they don't success. So two types of these people is before he come off that path, they have a lot of unsuccess, but they don't give up and continue to do. So the first I will give the example of the who try hard and can successful in life. The first is Thomas Edison, the scientist that invented the light bulb. Before he fell over 700 times, but he never think that when he failed, he never think that he unsuccess, but he think he successful with the one that cannot make it. The second example is people that work hard but not successful. So he is John Dalton, who invent atomic model in science. He invent the atomic model, but when he invent, it's not a real model that now. But after that, scientists call him father of atomic pattern because he is the first one that invent the atomic, and he worked very hard to invent it. That's why the scientists give father of atomic pattern to him. So next, let's see the two examples that I say. It has two people that successful and not successful. So in the ending, but these two people have attempt to do what they want and believe, work hard and against problem. So this is government want to teach them like don't accept the result or in ending of what they do. But we have to focus on how hard they try to do, as well as you can at that moment. So it's where children can grow up with work hard, and they can get successful in life, and they will happy about anything that come to his life. So for another example is so when you when you see someone want to when you help someone. Sorry, when you help someone, when you help someone with this part that I tell, it doesn't mean he wants to be get award from helping people, but they know about value of it to help. So we could teach all the process before ending, because the process that always make people make children, make people grow up. So but the ending is like a result of that work that you work hard. If you are successful, it doesn't mean you can continue your life, but it's the part of one thing that you have to pass it. So this government, so all of this government side want to improve to the children to work hard in the process and don't be accept of the result. So I'm proud to propose.
The speaker spoke for 6 minutes 29 seconds. We thank the Prime Minister of his speech. We now call on the leader of oppositions to open the side of opposition. Here.
Dear Mr. Chairman, let's rebuttal first. So our team thinks that the ending of the story is very important because we can force children to understand about all the journey along way before they success. Because if we teach that at first, maybe they just give up at first. So why the ending is important. The ending gives them inspiration, gives them hope. So the children, when they get the hope at first, it leads them to have a purpose to do something bigger, and it leads them to have a dreams. So I think the ending is also very important. I'm as the first speaker of opposite teams. We are going to prove two things. One is we are going to prove that children need inspiration more than information or a real fact or a fact. And the second one is narrative is necessary to grow good inside children. So I'm gonna explain that how narrative affect to children. Narrative, like a story, is the most easiest way to communicate with children because it's simple and easy for them to understand. And the story is explained to children about why and how. Story can easily spark something inside children and let them have imagination and motivation to do anything. Besides this, narrative is create a good relationship for children, and also the ending, which is good always wins ever. Because if children believe in good and their parents, their society believe in good, they do something good and support each other. And when the children get a lot of good things, they will don't have a problem when they are with their childhood. So I would say that almost all children who don't have any problem when they was a child, they not grow up to be a social problem. So why inspiration is matter? Inspiration is involve elevated level of positive effect, and people can do things better when they have an inspiration which come from a narrative. They can get a new idea and they want to creating something, they think creative, and they want to improve themselves. And that is very important to live the life. Actually, we don't have to understand all the things since we were children. We don't have to understand a long way journey, a long hard way before their success, but just understand that if you do something good, you will get good. That's enough for children. Besides this, I would say that inspiration is more powerful than motivation. Inspiration children can get from only a narrative or story. It's easier to get inspiration from that. But about motivation, it's easier to get from their parents. Sorry, I would say that their parents it's hard for their parents to teach their children to have an inspiration, but they can teach their children to have a motivation because they push their children to do something. But if children have an inspiration, they can go by themselves. Don't have anyone to push them to go on. So that's why inspiration from a narrative is very important for children. And what I'm gonna speak next is about children. They're not ready to accept all the truth like adults do because their brain is also different. So how is different? Their brains about children's brains and adults' brain is organized different. So I'm talking about children aged 6 to 12 years old. That can be enjoyable experience, try new activities, and they just begin to understand thoughts, belief, and feeling. They tend to focus more in attention on one aspect of an object, and they easy to believe in magical more than reasonable information. So that's how children's brains work. So it means that if parents or someone told them a long process before their success, they cannot, all and almost of them cannot understand that because maybe it's too hard and their brain and their mind are not ready. But if we choose a way that to teach children from a story, like the end of story, that good always wins and evil, they will get a good feeling inside, have a good childhood, and they will think positive, do something positive, which is, I think, is enough for a children. Because also I think that to teach a children step by step is more important than tell them anything that they cannot get it all. So, if you think that you really want to tell children the truth, and sometimes evil wins the good on the right, but maybe it will cause children to have a depressed, feel sad, and feel down. So when they feel less hope, they might have some problems. They might have some problems, and question is like they didn't want to move on anymore because this world is too cruel and so long way to be successful or to have or to receive something they really want to have or really want to be. So, in conclusion, I would say that narrative is important for children because the endings of narratives that good wins evils is let children have a good feeling inside. Actually, it's not a true 100%, but it makes children can do something benefits for their life, which is enough. And it's not mean that we didn't prepare children to accept the whole truth when they grow up. We just teach them step by step, which is I think is more value for children. Thank you.
The speaker spoke for 7 minutes 42 seconds. We thank the leader of opposition for her speech. We now call on the Deputy Prime Minister to continue the case of the government. Hear, hear.
Dear Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, first let me give a rebuttal first. The first one that the argument of the government side is it will give children an inspiration. Why? I mean like maybe the journey can give children an inspiration to not just only in the end. And one thing that they tell is we should teach children step by step. Step by step is mean journey, because if you tell children like just only in the ending of the story, this one is not a step by step. So another forward to another one, they think that the children cannot accept all of information because they are too young. Imagine is very necessary for them, but the truth isn't necessary for them as the inspiration and imaginary. But how can we know that it's not necessary for them? I want to base on the case like if you teach a student just only the good will triumph the evil every time and always. If you do something good and you will save, everything will good. But children, they are in the same world as our world. Our world, everything is not like what the story tells. And how can we know that they don't have to deal with our world? Like if the children, one student, they think the story always keeps telling them that they shouldn't lie. Lie isn't good, but some people that the stranger tell them about, they want to kidnap children, and they tell like, are you with your parents? And children tell no, yes, no, I'm sorry. the children telling that no, they are not with their parents, so they can kidnap. So children should know about our social and know about the true. I mean, like they keep telling that journey is very hard to explain, but I think it's not too hard for the children to understand. It depends on how you will tell the journey. The method is more significant. And as my speaker said, I want to tell that what our side, what is our side thinking? Our side thinking that we don't mean that the bad or the evil should triumph the good, but what we mean is the narrative shouldn't focus on like the ending point. We should focus, the narrative should focus in the journey, because the children will learn the journey more than the ending. This is why the narrative should focus on this. And example, everyone know Mulan, one princess of Disney. I think her journey, her process, that she keep fighting for her kingdom. This one is more necessary than he win. She win at the last, or she lose at the last. And if we keep telling children that if they do something good and they will have a victory, everything will go, they will win. But in the true world, it isn't like that. What happens if the children grown up and they have to meet our world? One thing, I think they shouldn't survive with idea that they have to do a good thing to get success. I don't mean they have to do a bad thing, but I mean that like a good success and victory isn't a result of good, but it's a result of work hard or have a good plan. This one is the result of good preparing, not just only be good. That's why I tell like that. Sit down, please. Let me continue my speech, and if I have a time, I will ask you. I will pick you up. Okay. Another is what I tell before is children will don't survive because they don't know. They always deal with a bad people with a good thing, but in the truth it isn't. You cannot win a bad people by just only do good. You have to have a good process, good planning, and good preparing. And even if they can survive in the social, what happened? Maybe they can lose all of things that they believe, because the parents keep telling them that do good is you will have a good, and after that you will win, you will get anything that you want. But in the truth, it isn't, and maybe it brought them out. They throw away all of their idea about goodness, and they try to search about bad idea or bad thing to make their victory happen. So this is why we should teach them that the necessary is about process, not about the end. And one thing that, what is the good point of us? I think it can make the children, they do something like the good thing by they don't expect something back. Because if you think that if they do good, they have something good back, and maybe they will do a good thing, but the good thing they don't do that because they think it can help another or it's good for the social. They will do a good thing because they want something, and if they they can't get the thing that they want, will they do a good thing? I think they don't, because they do a good thing because they want something. And one thing that I think everyone in this room should agree with this, with our side is, we all is member of Hong Arun School, right? So we know that the philosophy of Hong Arun School, one thing, we should focus on the process, then the ending. Like our teacher, all of us, we don't focus just only on the grade of student or just only on the taste of the student, but the process to continue how students work. This one is more necessary and we have to teach them, not just only how to do the test. And this is the reason why our side should take this debate. Thank you.
The speaker spoke for 7 minutes and 10 seconds. We thank the Deputy Prime Minister of his speech. We now call on the Deputy Leader of the Oppositions to continue the case of the oppositions. Here.
Hello, Mr. Chair and everyone. So, our group is trying to is want to tell you that the many narrative in the world is one of the best thing in narrative is ending. That the ending always have the right word, the highlight things that in the story, like in the core concept that come from every narrative in the world. Like everyone can, when we think about one of the narrative that we like or that we have read before, so we would think about like just one or two sentences that is core concept that's always come from an ending. That the ending of every narrative always make every people remember about it. Also, if many people suggest that we have to learn more about the narrative, like a fairy tale, a folk tale, to get more inspiration and more knowledge and get more like many good things to live in the future or do something in the future. Like Albert Einstein said, if you want your children to be intelligent, read them fairy tales. If you want them to be more intelligent, read them more fairy tales. That is the sentence that comes from one of the most smartest guy in the world, and they support that. He support that we have to read more and more. We have to listen more and more about the narrative that come from everything. So at the end of the day, the best thing about the narrative that we can remember and we can. Like we have a little spark in the student mind, in their mind, like what they're always impressed about the ending of the story. We don't have to force the children to understand real world just right now. When we were young, we just want to play, we want to fun, we just want to play on the ground, play with friends, like want to do something really fun when we were young, right? So why we should force every student to understand all of the story that we tell to them? Why we have to force them what is the real world? Like why we have to force them how can you spend your time to make your life better? Why we were young we just want to fun. We don't even care like what will going on in the future. We just want a good childhood for our children. We just want the best childhood for the student that is a combination of fun and inspiration that come from the narrative. Also, according to Mr. Goddard Blight, the director of the Institute for Neuropsychological in Chester, said that one of the best thing in the narrative is come from the highlight word, like all the core concept in the narrative that come from the ending part. So that is why the ending is really important and really make children remember it and impress about it. So it doesn't mean that we are not preparing them to face the real world. We just want them to spend their time to make fun when they were young, when they're just in the childhood. We just want them into fun and make more inspiration, more learning about what is how many things that we have in the world that is interesting and good or not. So that is why we have to tell them, like we don't have to tell all of the everything that come from the narrative. I know it's really much and maybe it's important, but
the most important thing that children can understanding all of the sentence is come from the ending, and that sentence is always bring children to grow up as a good guy in the future. It's not mean like if we are shy, we can remember all of the story, like we can remember all of the narrative thing that many like a parent or another one tell to them. So it means you will be a good guy in the future if you can remember all of them. It's not like that. It's not like what children can catch a main concept or main topic in the narrative, and how can children use the topic that they catch to improve in the future. That is a point that is important. That's why narrative is important to children, and that's why ending is always the best part that children can impress about each narrative. Also, the narrative always tell like the good will triumph over evil. So in the ending part, they always have like maybe they have a small topic and small concept of story, but how can you say that the small topic or concept that is come from the story is not important? It can use for like understand the real world, but if you want the children to understand all of the story, it means you want to force our children to understanding in the real world. So why we just want to protect the children to have a better childhood or better life when we were young. We don't want a serious thing when we were young. We just want to make some fun, want to meet a friend. Also, we don't have to force them to understand all of the story. It doesn't mean that, as I said, it doesn't mean that if you understand all of the story, it means you are a good guy. But the main thing is, if you understanding like a core concept that come from the story, then you can use that concept to become a good guy in the future. Okay, and if we think about when we were young, memory that when we were shy is everything that's happy and fun, not some serious thing, not some real world thing. Many parents always say that we have to tell children that you have to make every parent wants children to have good inspiration and good memory in the child. So that's why they have to grow up like a good guy in the future. And at the end of the day, the ending part is where the main concept of the narrative is, and that is the most important thing in the narrative. Thank you very much.
The speaker spoke for 7 minutes and 23 seconds. We thank the deputy leader of the opposition for his speech. We now call up the government whip to continue the case of the government. Here.
Hello. Okay. As the third speaker of the opposition team, of the government team, I'm going to prove to you that we win in this debate. But first, let me talk about the rebuttal. As the opposition say that the reality is too hard to understand for the kids, I think it is not true, because this whole idea of debate based on the idea of how we should focus on the narrative. How should we focus on the part of the narrative, which outside believe that the conclusion is not the whole. It's not the it's the most important part of the narrative, because the journey. I'm sorry. Okay. The journey that our side say is not about like the reality. We didn't bring the children and tell about the real reality and the real world, but we talking to them like it is a part of the story of the narrative.
So I'm going to answer that the reality we want to convey to the student is it is from the narrative too. We didn't just bring the student and tell them about the reality about something bad like drugs or something like that. And I agree that I agree that fairy tale give inspiration and do very good benefit to the kids. But the whole idea of outside is not to recreate a fairy tale, but we recreate how the opposition team focus on the where the whole idea of the value of the narrative are located in the conclusion. So outside believe that the value of the narrative are located in the journey of the character. So okay, let's move on to the clash point. For the clash point, both government and opposite side hardly discussing about is where the key message should really be focused in the narrative, which outside hardly believe that it is more valuable if we focus on the character journey than the conclusion at the end. Because life works that way. Our life aren't sprinkled with roses. We all have to suffer with loss and rejoice with success. Like the story of Mulan that our second speaker have already told you. So that whether the conclusion are win or lose, it doesn't matter anymore because the most important thing is the journey that makes the kids growing up as a good people in our society. But if the good is still keeping loose at the end of the day, however, those values will be remain in the kids' heart, which it will be a strong foundation of goodness that make the kids survive in this cruel world. And on the other hand, we will focus on the conclusion that, like opposition did, isn't it sending a wrong message to a student that life is all about win and lose, it's all about competing? It is just suffering the kids more and frustrate their life for the entire life. And even worse, if this kind of people have more in our society, imagine how frustrated and suffer in our society can be because each other trying to beat every people in our society trying to beat each other to be a powerful and higher than the other people. And our side believe that that good people should be made at a very young age because it is the age of learning and their kids will be and those kids will be a next generation that going to lead us to the humanity to a bright future. For the government-based case, we are going to say that for the best case of our side, we believe that we give a very importance to a kid, which is the ability to learn from the process. With that ability, with that ability, the kids can find the value of anything that go through their life, not just the outcome of the entire process. Just like what our schools taught us, like the second speaker said, the kid will sure survive in every situation in life, and we can and those kids can adapt and self-thought and be self-thought. And for the opposition team, worst case is the opposition are giving a wrong. I think that if we focus on the conclusion, it will sending a wrong message to a student because I'm sorry. It will give a wrong viewpoint to a student. Like I said before, it not only suffer the kids but also harmful to other people. Imagine if you live in a society that beating themselves all the time, how suffer themselves it will be if you are living in that kind of society. And finally, Madam Chair and Mr. Chairman, it is clear now that the point of the opposition team are doing more harm than good. When our side can produce a high quality person to the society, and for all of that, we take a debate. Thank you.
The speaker spoke for 7 minutes and 23 seconds. We thank the government whip for his speech. We now call on the opposition whip to continue the case of opposition. Hear, hear.
So, good evening, Mr. Chairman and Madam and Mr. Judge. So, first, as the first speaker of opposition team, so I first want to rebuttal what the government already say. So first is that journey also can give student inspiration. So we agree with that. Yeah, maybe the journey also can give inspiration to children. But how actually a student can understand the journey? So basically, when we are young, we listen to fairy tale and usually we remember that they win, they're good, and finally they get married with some good guys, right? So actually, the main focus is we focus on the end. We have a good memory with it. And next is teach step by step that we already say as in the first person. Yeah, it's true that we want students to teach step by step, but it's not about the journey because in each age of the student, they have different kind of learning. When they are young, they learn about how to speak first, understanding language, and after that, they may start to think about creativities and play and experience things to learn about the world. And then after that, they start to learn about the reality world. They're not learning just about the nature or just how the basic work of the world anymore. That is the way when we're teen, we start to learn about the politics, we learn about world social problems. This is when we learn these step-by-step things. And, sorry. So they said that, the government also said that they don't want to teach, they just want to teach about the bad thing to the what is bad to children. But what is bad then? If you say that drug is bad, alcohol is bad, then also murderer is bad, right? We cannot ignore that murderer and kidnapping is bad. But also that connect to real world that there are death, and there are also sickness, and there are some cruel things that you don't show children yet. So basically, like parent doesn't want to show the dead body to children because it's too cruel to children to understand that yet, and they don't want to see, and they don't have them to feel bad and scared and have nightmare and things like that. Even we grow, we don't want to see dead body because it's so scary. And same as children, they are so young, they don't know what it is. They just know that that's death, and they just don't want to face it because the real thing is too scary. And they just know that, and they will grow up with that thought that one day I have to die, and they're going to be scared, really, really scared. And their childhood will be ruined because they are also scared. So next is the burden of proof. So this we talk about children, right? Children cannot understand every single thing that adult understand. As adult, as a teenagers, we can analyze the story that there are so many characters and why they act like that, they act like this. They're a bad guy also doing this or that or something like that, that everything has a reason. But as children, they don't know that. They don't see the world as much as we does. So we cannot expect the children to understand the journey as we do. And if we force them to do it, it's been like you force them to understand the thing that they cannot understand. Like you force humans to fly. That's not possible to fly like without airplane. We didn't mean that we're not gonna teach them. We're going to teach them, but later. We just want them to enjoy their life, have a happy life. Sometimes when we think of a children's life, childhood is the best part of our life, that we're still young, we are innocent and we're just having fun all the day. We are just being so happy. We don't have any stress like this day we have. And why we have to put that straight to our child or children. And also they talk about that if we let the children focus on the result, good triumph, bad, it's mean that we focus on the result, but they also say about the successful life. Isn't that a result that they want to? What does that mean, that successful life? Some people just having a good family or just being happy is also successful in life. So it doesn't mean that you have to be so good. You want children to understand every single drawing because you want them to be good. And you want them to be successful in life, so that means you just want results from them. Therefore, you force the result that they have to be successful in life. So I want to conclusion that we just want children to be happy. We cannot force children to live in this world. So in our best case, people will still be better and better. They have a happy life. Since people are not having bad childhood, I feel like when they are young, they have so many bad things happen. They're scared and they see the world so scary. How will they growing up? They will be really scared person that don't want to do anything because it's too scary, the world is too cruel for them. And so why would they want to help other things? And they don't have inspirations that they want to do good thing for the world, because if they know that good doesn't always triumph, even if they do so many good things, they still have a bad come back to them. Why would they want to do that? In the reality world, there are not so good. There are not really a lot of good person that feel like, yeah, I want to do good thing. Even I receive bad thing back. It's not every single people that can do that. It's not so less of people that can doing things like that. So if you really want to talk about reality, you cannot expect them to be a good person. Our world just needs someone to do something good, and our world will be good enough for humanity. And our worst case is the present day, because right now we are already focused on the ending of the story, right? But in their best case is the present day, and the worst case is the children will get scared, and the world just being so cruel world. And then they're growing up as adult, everything will be just a group of people who just being so scared of everything, not helping each other. Thank you.
The speaker spoke for 7 minutes and 26 seconds. We thank the opposition whip for her speech. We now call on the opposition. Before we continue, may we remind everyone that awarding will take place immediately after the debate. We only have a 5-minute break after this, and then awarding. Please don't forget to vote for your best speakers, both judge and audience. Before we continue, we now call on the opposition reply speakers to close the debate for the oppositions. Here.
Hello, Mr. Chair and everyone again. So, what we want to tell everyone in this room, Mr. Chair, is we just want to protect the children from the better childhood, from the better life when we were young. We don't want to force them to understand all of the things, like all of the real thing in the world, to come up with a good idea or come up with a good living, better living in the future. We just want children to be fun when they were young. We just want children that have a lot of inspiration, a lot of imagination, a lot of funny happiness that we can have that a lot when we are children, and we will not receive that when we are grown up. So why we can't just tell them about the real world when they will grow up step by step, not that rush them all and tell everything to when they just children. Like the ending part of the narrative give the children hope and inspiration, and to make children want to learn something that interesting or learn something that they want. It's not like they have to understand all of the narrative thing to have an inspiration. When they just if they just remember the ending of the narrative, so they can use that concept or that sentence to do many things in the future, not all of the narrative to make anything in the future. Also, children is not ready to understand all of the process. Even in our school, we didn't force everyone to do something that we plan. We just we change our plan to make the plan that is exclusively for children, not rush like this plan is for everyone in this room. It's gonna be like, sorry, our school is like one plan for one student, not one plan for everyone in the school. So that's why also children brains and mind not like adult is not, they can't understand all of the things in the story in the narrative. They just remember a little bit that they like and a concept of the story that spark in their heart to make the children warm heart and make the children think more about it, make a children get a lot of inspiration from the narrative, and that's part that the best part of the narrative that's always come in the ending part. Also, we just want to protect them and tell them step by step to so when they go up, they won't be so serious if they want to, like if we rush every lesson to children, rush every, like we force them to understand all of the narrative thing to children. Every children like in society in the future will be faced like this, and they will be all serious and more serious because we always talk about real world. So children will be like think about they have to understand all of the things in the world, not like they have to understand the thing that they like, that they actually like. Also, if we talk in the children view, the children doesn't want to. How can you know that children want to know the real world or children want to know every part of the narrative? Maybe children just want some fun, just want some inspiration that they can have a good memory to when they will be better when they are grown up. Finally, our opposition side not regret that we have a good childhood because we believe that good always triumph evil. Thank you very much.
The speaker spoke for 4 minutes and 10 seconds. We thank the opposition reply speaker for his speech. We now call on the government reply speaker to close the debate. Here.
Okay, dear Mr. Chair, Madam Chair again. What I want to say is, I think that the opposition side are out of the first speaker scope this debate, because we don't mean that we will put all of reality in their mind. Like when they was young, like suddenly, but we mean like we disagree that the narrative should tell the children that the good will always triumph evil because they think that they shouldn't focus on the end of the process, but they should focus on the process, how they continue to win, how they're successful. This one is more significant than the end. That what is our side try to present. And another thing is we can't tell that children, the necessary for children is just only imagination because in the truth, children live in the same world as us. So we should deny that sometimes they have to deal with bad people and sometimes they have to deal with good people. So why we don't put our vaccine to our children to protect themselves? What we have to do, we want to protect our side too. We want to protect our children too, but from a real world that are not good as a tale. And one thing that I think is very significant and our school try to do it all the time is it's not matter that in the end of the process you will win, you will get anything that you want or you will lose. It's not necessary, but the necessary thing that we have to teach the children is how can they keep doing good without, if they don't success, if they don't get a thing that they want, how they to continue doing good without thinking about just only if they do good, they have to success. If they, this is what I want to tell. And other thing is what we all over everything that our side try to do is just only like put our vaccine on our children and like make our children grow up as a good people. They will continue do a good thing even if even they don't get what they want, even they lose or they win. They should know that it not mean that it isn't depend on they do good or do bad, but depend on the process. That is, they continue working. If they work hard, they will get what they want. If they don't work hard, just only to be good, they will not get anything that they want. And overall, I think everything that my friends, first speaker and third speaker said is more value than the thing that the government side, the opposition side said. So this is the reason why we think that in this debate we should take this debate. And overall, I want to say that I'm proud to propose. Thank you.
The speaker spoke for 3 minutes and 36 seconds. We thank all debaters for a good round, and I request the debaters to please cross the house. We will have a 5 minutes break. We have popcorn for everyone outside. Please come back after 5 minutes for awarding.
Thank you very much for you guys for watching and join our debate tournament. So I now would like to call on Teacher Rams, our debate coach, to award all of the rewarding for now.
Thank you very much everyone for staying. So right now we will be awarding the top 5 best speakers for the last 2 rounds. So this includes every team, okay? So may we request Teacher Carol to please come forward to help give out our certificates. Thank you. Okay, let's begin our awarding for the top 5 best speakers. Let's begin with our 5th best speaker. It's a tie. The first one is Prao. Congratulations. Please step forward. Tying Prao in 5th place is Noon. Congratulations. Thank you. In fourth place, we have Naina. Congratulations. Is Naina still here? She left? Okay, never mind. Moving on, we have the third best speaker. Again, it's a tie. Third best speaker, we have Fa. Congratulations. And her teammate, Earth. Congratulations. Congratulations. Our second best speaker is Fran. Congratulations. Congratulations. And who is the best speaker? The best speaker is Nan. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Teacher Carol. Now I'd like to call on Teacher Freddie to award our Grand Finals Best Speaker and our Grand Finals winner. Let's begin with our Grand Finals Best Speaker based on the total votes from the judges and our audience. Our Grand Finals Best Speaker is... Who? Prel. Congratulations. Okay, congratulations. Now we will be awarding of the grand finals. But before that, let me remind the debaters, please after this round, since we don't have the time, the judges left some comments here, so please read. But also please consult with them. A lot of them would like to say something about the results of this debate to you. So please approach our judges at the back and they'll be very willing to give you some tips for improvement. And again, just so for everyone to know, we will be competing in Mahidol University next week for the EU in Thailand debate competition. So we would really love, our debaters would love to hear comments from your judges. Once again, thank you very much to our judges for coming, and we are so happy that you're here. Okay, now we are awarding the winner of our grand finals. Who do you think? Government or opposition? With a vote of 10-2, the winner is the government, the opposition, Team Recessive. Congratulations. Go get your certificate. Congratulations, Team Recessive, for winning the grand finals. Thank you very much. We would also like to call our finalists, Team Dominant, the government. Now come forward and get your certificates. Congratulations as well. Thank you very much and congratulations. Please don't leave yet. May I request all the debaters to please come forward for photo session. All debaters, please come forward. Take photos. Everyone. Okay, thank you very much everyone for coming. Thanks to our debate staff also for helping out, Lynn and everyone, Lisa, Jane, Arco. Thank you.